Hi, and welcome to Black Book Anthology, Black History celebrated by UIC Speech. I'm Jerome Cano, Senior and Vice President of the UIC Speech Team. We are excited to showcase a number of performances by our team members from our nationally ranked UIC Speech Team. So without further ado, let's get started. Up first, we have sophomore AJ York and Daryl Richmond performing duo interpretation.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, look, he's so handsome.
You're the prettiest girl I've ever seen.
Don't talk to me while I'm walking down the aisle, stupid. Now I gotta start all over. Dun, 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 dun. It's kind of hard to stop dating women when you enjoy dating women or being with one. And another miracle that happened was that he enabled me to love a man, which was surprising, even to me. What are you doing in here?
I just came to get my clothes.
Well, I had the staff put all your clothes in the guest room.
Lily.
What? You shouldn't be in here.
You shouldn't be letting them know we're having problems.
Like you, leaving my underwear in the bed sheets as if we have sex.
All right, you know what? You just shouldn't be letting them know.
In 2012, 10 years into their marriage, Joshua and Lolly Weed came out to the entire world as a mixed orientation couple.
The devout Mormons got married, despite the fact that Joshua identified as a gay man. They got divorced 5 years later.
Joshua explained, the joy I felt was real and the love I felt was real, but something in me wanted to die.
Mixed orientation couples may believe that they are experiencing a happy relationship and great sex, but the denial of their orientation speaks for itself.
Through the Prose in a Mixed Orientation Marriage by Dr. Joe Court and Life on Side B.
The poetry, My Gaze Not Enough by Amelia Newitt and My Shadow by Jay Smith.
And the drama, Dun 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 by Autumn L. and The Oval by Tyler Perry. But is it good sex though? A program.
Mixed orientation marriage, stage 1.
Humiliation!
Each partner may feel a significant amount of shame arising from the coming out process. The gay or lesbian spouse feels humiliated about being gay.
While their straight partners feel humiliated that they weren't man enough or woman enough to hold their mate's sexual interest.
I am gay. I am Mormon. I am married to a woman. I am happy every single day of my life. I have a great sex life. All these things are true, whether your mind chooses to believe them or not.
What we have is something that I truly cherish. He gave up something so core to himself to bring himself closer to me and to God. I can't imagine anything more beautiful. An openly gay man ran for president, and he did really well. Donald, why can't you just come out and beat that?
Because, Lily, America is not the world. When you're on that world stage, there's no room for mistakes. That's number 1.
But you could be an example.
You think I want to marry a man?
Am I missing something? Because you certainly like to have him on top of you.
Look, you will never understand the hatred that this town has for outsiders. I've never seen a great man be happy. Why should I be any different?
God, Donald, that just sounds like such a sad and empty life.
Sad? Why would it be sad? Maybe I've got you.
I think about telling my roommate that today I am afraid. Instead, I know I'm not allowed to be when the queerness in me tucks itself like wisdom teeth behind the parts of me it does not own, I am not allowed to be fearful. I am not allowed to be scared when I have been told a mouthful of times that my gay is not enough. My queer is too parched.
Stage 2.
The honeymoon!
Some gay spouses feel so grateful for their partner's unconditional love that they decide to stay together.
The more straight spouses empathize with what their gay spouse is going through. And the gay spouse, due to their need for closeness, attachment, and comfort, will feel drawn to their straight partner. What would I say has been my biggest struggle when it's come to my marriage? Probably reaching out to him, to touch him. Which is weird, because when I dated women, I'd reach out to touch them all the time. I'm sort of a touchy-feely kind of girl when it comes to people that I'm dating, but with him, I don't reach out as much. And it's not for a lack of love, it's just, I don't reach out to men, naturally.
Now let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Why would you choose to stay in this situation? Huh?
I ask myself that a lot, actually.
Well, do you answer yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. So that I could climb and get all that I deserved for the years of conning and bullshit. For all the shit you put me through. For pretending to be into me, for pretending to love me, for pretending to want to have a family with me.
That was never pretend. I was never pretending. Never was that ever pretend.
What part?
The love part?
God.
My shadow tells too much of my truth. I wish its weight would let me breathe just one exhale and let my self-respect rise with my chest.
Stage 3.
Raise!
Eventually, both partners recognize that things will never be the same.
The gay spouse can't retreat back into the closet, while the straight one can't deny the recent distance between them.
Donald, get the fuck out of here.
Listen, I'd love you with everything that I have.
Don't tell me that you love me when you can't even love yourself. Because if you did, you'd go out and you'd be who you were and you'd do what you wanted to do.
Look around! Aren't I?
Donald, you know what? You can go. Stage 4.
Resolution.
In this stage, each partner must determine whether he or she would like to remain in this relationship.
They must consider various factors such as children, social considerations, religious beliefs, and the ongoing degree of openness between them.
It's the very thing that brings me closer to him and keeps me closer to him. He showed me the magic that he can work in my sexuality and all sexualities. And I think that that's beautiful. I do. And do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, to love and to cherish, as long as you both shall live?
I do.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. And now you may kiss the bride. Mwah.
What an amazing performance. Next, we have freshman Anaya Clemens performing prose interpretation.
If you don't want to be a Lucy, you gotta find ways to make the bleak a little better. Lucy was that girl who jumped from the 4th floor last month on her lunch break. She used to be a cashier at Taco Town, and now she's a verb. I'm gonna Lucy if today doesn't move any faster. And a noun. New girl never smiles. Looks like a Lucy. I try not to disrespect the dead. It's other people on the promenade from all different stores who use her name. I've been here a while now, and the most important thing I've learned is if you want to be happy here in the Prominent Mall, you have to dig happiness up. Retail work has always been a bit of a thankless job, and the current pandemic has not made it any more fun or carefree. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The Journal of Italian Research for Occupational Health published research 1 year into the pandemic that recognizes that invisible burden carried by retail workers. Specifically, negative customer service interaction inevitability leads to burnout. Author Nana Kwame Aje-Brinya compels our narrator to cling to anything that makes her job more tolerable. It's a testament to her perseverance that she discovers her reason not to burn out and give up. So happiness isn't just gonna walk up to you and ask, how you doing? Well, except when older Spanish ladies come into the store shopping for their sons or daughters or nieces or nephews. Speak Spanish? The lady will begin. But even those 2 words she'll sing in a way that English speakers just don't. Muy poquito, I'll reply. I'll say it with a half laugh, and she'll smile as well and say, un poco inglés. And then we'll both laugh, which is to say, I guess we'll have to meet somewhere in the middle. She'll carry most of the burden, though, because her English is way better than my Spanish. Una que más se para, and I'll jump in. A niño o niña? And the lady's eyes will light up like blown coals, and she'll smile honestly and widely and say, niña, niña. She'll be more excited than she has to be, but so will you. Pay attention to this moment. Suck it in like it's the last sip of juice in a juice box. As we make our way over to the women's side of the store, we'll be walking in astride now as if we've been friends for years. She may be saying a lot of words in Spanish now, and I will understand almost none of them, but I will know that she's being extremely friendly, and I'll enjoy the sound of her. And if I'm lucky, I'll hang on to one of those words I learned in basic level Spanish. As I'm listening to a chorus of Spanish I don't understand, I'll stop walking as this lady, who is practically my best friend now, says, rojo. Una camasa rojo? Sí. And the lady will practically jump in the air with happiness. She may grab my hand or hug the shoulder. We're like old friends now. You know, the kind that don't speak very often and know the worst about each other, but somehow check in just enough. Finally, we'll get to the shirts, and there will be so many options. She'll smile and clap and tap me on the shoulder and say, gracias, gracias, and then she'll laugh, and then I'll laugh, and both laughs will be a taper off because we'll understand that this is the end of the road for us. And then I'll smile once more and say, look for me if you need anything else. And then I will make my way over to the mountainous wall of quarter-folded jeans that need to be counted before 12:30. Yesterday there were 1,598 pairs. Today there are 1,595. We count them every day now since Richard is really into the loss prevention side of things. Work is, there is a tiny angel at home that needs me, so I work for her. And I'm good at this, you know, getting people to buy things. So I count. I count the columns of jeans with my clipboard and my pen, and if what I get does not exactly match inventory, I'll count them again. Finally, the Spanish woman finds something that she likes. And you can tell she's pleased by the way she glides to the register. She's gonna make someone happy. You know, you have to grab for happiness in places like these because there isn't enough to go around. The idea is that even in nothing jobs like this, you have to think of ways you may actually be helping someone, or you could end up a Lucy. The best salesperson at my job told me not to worry about it too much because pretty soon it'd just be someone else. He said that every 6 months or so, someone takes the big dive. Before Lucy, it was Jen from Radio Castle, and before Jen, it was Antoine, who fell backwards through the railing. His hands clasped in prayer. The day that it happened, the mall was in a huge frenzy. A lot of stores were having a BOGO sale, and I had walked out to see a huge group of people huddled around the railing. They had already tossed a yellow tarp over her body. I remember thinking, I just hope she died on impact. And, you know, people say that she screamed the entire way down, but I don't think she was afraid. I didn't know her name then. You know, you think the mall would close for a few hours, maybe light a candle, allow people to gather themselves. Nope. Buy one, get one stops for no one. That night, I held Nalia in my arms and we fell asleep together on the couch. And when we woke up that next morning, the sweet sound of her cry and coo, it made me forget some of the sick feelings I had at work that day. Go back to counting. Think about anything and count. Count. As I tally up the Levi's and think about how not to be a Lucy, the beautiful woman who does not speak my language will appear behind me and tap me on the shoulder. And out of her bag, she'll pull a red shirt outlined with flowers and gemstones. It'll be so red that it'll look like it's hot to the touch. And she'll smile once more and tap me on the shoulder in parting and say, gracias, gracias. And I'll say, de nada, which will be a lie. Because she is everything.
Amazing. Now we will see program oral interpretation done by our very own sophomore, Levante Morrow.
Now, where you want me to look again? All right. And what you want me to say? Okay, all right. Well, the barbershop is the cornerstone of any black community. You go to any black community and you're going to see a church to save souls, a liquor store to save people's marriages, and a barbershop to save people's hairlines. I roll out of my dorm on Saturday morning in the most heterosexual, straight acting drag you can think of. And really whatever is left on my bedroom floor. I mean, the plain white t-shirt, my sneakers, and my least ugliest pair of skinny jeans. But this wasn't me. Now this was the boy. No, the man. I needed to be to get a haircut. You see, this was my first haircut. You know, eyes full of tears because of the vibrations. When you're done, he takes off the cape, and my dad says, "Proud of you, little man. You know, I hide in plain sight. Clip, 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 coded language. Clip, 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 breasts are a pair of neck strips. Hey, you see that big pair of neck strips over there? Clip, clip, clip. I hide in plain sight." The black barber shop has served as a beacon in many black boys' lives, oftentimes serving as a place for us to have conversations about politics or sports or anything in between. But there is one sector of black males that it keeps out: queer men of color. Oftentimes, the barbershop serves as a place for homophobia, being somewhere that we are afraid to go. So it begs the question, who is the black barbershop really made for? Through various prose, poems, and dramas, I present to you a program, but not for you, but a healing experience for me. Clip, clip, clip. You know, I've become that man to tell them to straighten up, uncock your wrists, and follow my lead. Let me get you lathered up here. You see, back in my day, a barber was a fashion expert. He was a style coach, a pimp, just all around hustler. But most importantly, he was a counselor. You know, I remember getting my hair cut after prom. He took the cape off, and he said my fade was like the sun rising and setting on my scalp. He looked at me and said, "You sharp as a motherfucker." I looked around, and I saw my entire community embrace me. My first haircut felt like a date. You know, my man Dre found a way to connect my struggle beard and made that shit sharp as hell. One day, a single mother decides to come in with her son. She steps out on the phone call, and he is there alone. Clip, clip, clip. He starts dancing to a City Girl song. He's twisting and turning and moving his body. He is carefree. Clip, clip, clip. You know, everybody got their place where they can get away from the real world without any ramifications, where they can get beat down by the homies and mad, and where they can be themselves just unapologetically. You know what I mean? And I came home after Christmas, after college, and I come into the barbershop to everybody dabbing me up. I mean, they swore I was the Wolf of Wall Street. You know, he took the cape off and he said, "Keep living, black man." And then I left. Clip, clip, clip. You know, he is living his truth that I won't even, speak. And I don't know how my mouth formed the words because I just want him to look at me so I can tell him to straighten up. Clip, clip, clip. It was in that moment that my mouth formed the words. When I returned to the shop, Dre was cutting on Old Head's hair. Old Head says that the high yellow fairy at the workshop done rolled him up because his pants was hanging down. And he says, "Oh, he was probably looking at my ass." And then Dre joins in. He's laughing. He's saying, they ain't women. They ain't women because they got balls. He didn't get it. And I was treated to the caricatures of the gay man. You mean the snaps, the head pops, the eye rolls, everything that I wasn't. I came back to the barbershop, and I asked for the usual, and I said it was a special day. He says, "What's the moves, young blood?" I say, "I'm getting married." He said, "Why you never bring her around? She got a fat ass. Now you know I like a good ass." I stressed. He'd be flying in tomorrow. And all the clippers cut out. And he gulped. And he says, "Well, why don't you bring the young buck around? He got a good fellow." And I looked around and I saw my Entire community embraced me. Clip, clip, clip. My mouth formed the words. My tongue is a criminal. My teeth are a cage. I fell to me. My tongue in its crime at bay. Clip, clip, clip. Out of nowhere, my mouth forms the word. Clip, clip, clip. Stop acting like a fag little nigga. Clip, clip, clip. I wish this would happen. Instead, the clip is turned off. And he said, that'd be $25, bro. And I get out of my back pocket and I give him 2 bills. And he said, take care. And nobody would look at me. I mean, the people that cut my hair when I was 2 years old, the people who cut my hair when I was going to prom, the people who called me the Wolf of Wall Street didn't love me anymore because who I was fucking. I was alone in a room full of my own people. Clip, clip, clip. And I saw his whole world get crushed under every masculine man. I mean, I am a traitor, clip. I am a betrayer, clip, clip. His mother comes back, and I check the room to make sure that nobody can see me, and I say, I'm sorry. And I go back to cutting the hair that's in my chair. Clip, clip, clip. And so I get up, and I put down the 2-year-old copy of Essence, and I say, hey, Dre, I gotta go. I gotta, and I got an exam, and then I push open the door, and I'm running down the hill, and I'm crying, and I get a text. And it's from Dre. He said, hey, Nick, you know you don't got class on Saturday. He told me, can I come over this weekend? Heart emoji, wink emoji, heart emoji. I replied back that I don't know. The barber shop got a long ways to go. We got to accept the Latinos and the women and all those other folks. But you see, when you open a barber shop, community comes together. Now, y'all should come back this Saturday. We're going to have ourselves a fish fry. We got spaghetti and catfish.
What a spectacular performance. Moving on to something a little bit more lighter, we will see Daryl Richmond perform after dinner speaking.
The year is 3022. My head has finally defrosted after cryogenically freezing it 900 years ago. Humans have moved to Mars after Jeff Bezos destroyed Earth. Evolution has allowed us to telepathically order off Amazon, and now Supreme Ruler Jeff Bezos the 15th rules the galaxy with an iron fist. Sounds great, right? Just kidding. I don't belong in science fiction. I'm black. Seriously, when's the last time you saw a black person in science fiction before Black Panther? However, things are finally starting to change due to Afrofuturism. According to a Pratt Institute Library article published February 18, 2021, Afrofuturism is a way of looking at the future and alternative realities through a black cultural lens. It is an artistic aesthetic, but also a kind of method of self-liberation or self-healing. In short, Afrofuturism is like science fiction, but cool. A March 22, 2021 article from Forbes titled How Afrofuturism Can Be Used as a Tool for Black Liberation says traditional science fiction novels sometimes equate heroism to xenophobia or colonization and have a tendency to practice colorblindness. Afrofuturist works often champion differences in order to overcome issues that harm everyone. Today, we must examine the past before darting into the Afrofuture, understand why Afrofuturism is so important, and examine what Afrofuturism can do for us light years from now. A long, long time ago, in a hood far, far away, Afrofuturism was born and then evolved into what we have today. Let's look at both. First, imaginative envisioning of a better world is the basis for Afrofuturism. Forbes recalls that one of the oldest and most notable figures to express thoughts of Afrofuturism was Harriet Tubman, where she imagined a time where black folks are free and could have a prosperous future. It's almost like black people have been creating new trends and not receiving any credit for them for centuries. When you think about it, Harriet Tubman is like the Black Panther of slavery. Except her superpower is the ability to read the stars like a map. I bet she would kick that those big purple ass. Now fast forward a few hundred years to the 1970s and Sun Ra, Octavia Butler, George Clinton, and Parliament Funkadelics helped create Afrofuturistic themes, while also making funky beats to help Jemima be created. However, there was no term for it until Mark Dury first coined it in an essay in 1994. It doesn't take a time-traveling kid with a red vest, DeLorean, and a weird sexual attraction to his mother to take us back to the future 3 times and realize that black people are experts at sci-fi because it's in our blood. Now the comic book industry's newest craze is printing in color. It's like Marvel and DC just discovered black people exist. In the newest Batman edition, the Dark Knight gets a little too dark. In fact, the New York Times of February 7, 2021 states that After the Rain, Infinitum, and Far Sector are all examples of new comics written by African American authors, starring main characters of African descent. Yeah, it's not just Black Panther anymore. And while Bruce Wayne questions if he can say the N-word, Afrofuturism is currently dominating music too. The aforementioned New York Times article reminds us that just last year, Rihanna was an otherworldly warrior queen and champion of the downtrodden. Beyoncé was a galactic goddess, and her sister Solange Knowles flaunted a sundial-sized headdress of crystals and tight-woven braids. All these looks are beautiful, but the message behind powerful black women as goddesses uplifts and gives the black community strength. I have so much hope. Maybe Rihanna will release that album we've been craving for the last 6 years. Or maybe not. Next, follow me through the wormhole as you question why Afrofuturism is so important in the first place. I thought OnlyFans was home to the scariest black hole. Maybe I should have paid more attention to Star Trek. But how can I? That shit's lame. If I wanted to watch white people play around in rainbow sweaters, I'd watch The Wiggles. At least The Wiggles sing and dance about a balanced diet. All Star Trek did was throw up gang signs that would've got my black ass killed. DeMarcus don't come in peace. Sci-fi lacks black representation and has a surplus of white saviorism. The aforementioned Forbes article states that oftentimes people of color are stripped of any culture to depict an unprejudiced future, which leaves the question, why must we assimilate to not experience racism? How about y'all just not be racist? We don't tell y'all to stop making your raisin potato salad. Maybe we should though. That shit's a hate crime to itself. Hollywood isn't the only place lacking flavor. So are your plates. And our libraries, which is the most pressing issue. According to an article, We Have Always Dreamed of Afrofutures, reminds that Wisconsin's cooperative children's books research over the past 20 years highlights that most of all children's books characters are either white, animals, or machines. Even a glorified hydraulic press got a movie before us. To be real though, Wally made several valid points. Lazy white people creating global warming, slavery, and colonization. Sounds about white. But the saviors are always white. Business Insider defines a white savior in movies as a character who saves a person of color from their troubles. Troubles that the person of color can't save themselves from. You know, the whole thought that black people can't survive by ourselves and need to be rescued by Captain Save-A-Negro. Wasn't that the thought process behind slavery in the first place? And it shapes the future as well. The July 2020 Review of Communication, when analyzing decolonization themes in Black Panther, claims that we hold Western beliefs and ideas as modern, dismissing all other walks of life. This completely undermines other cultures' technological advancements and shows a one-sided, white prediction of the future where only Chad and Becky get to make an impact on the world. Y'all realize that in your own representation of the future, y'all brought war, guns, and a brother-sister romance into space. Star Wars might as well be backwoods Arkansas. Meanwhile, the only black person in Star Wars is Lando the space pimp. Next, we'll be traveling light years into the future and understanding what happens when we embrace Afrofuturism, educationally and socially. First, educationally. The University of Chicago teaches teachers in their lab schools how to address Afrofuturism and compels them to teach from more African sources. Wow, maybe school isn't boring. It's just white as hell. As Lavender and Yazzik state in their 2020 book in full color, The Future of Afrofuturism, envisioning a pro-Black fictional future world can help us improve and understand our current reality, which is pretty much the theme of The Matrix, but better, because in my current reality, watching a man hand out mysterious magic pills was just my dad's friend Juice. He'll give you the red pill and the blue pill if you ask him nicely. Moreover, this genre of art, music, and film liberates and gives the Black community strength. Watashi Romack, author of Black Oppression and Afrofuturism, recalls traveling to a small Black fifth-grade art class on the west side of Chicago. She asked them what their idea of the future was, expecting answers like flying cars, holographic communication devices, and lasers. She was surprised to hear that every child who chose to answer mentioned a world without violence. It's hard for kids to dream of vibranium-powered supersuits when we're living in King Kong versus Godzilla. King Kong steals all the white women. Godzilla destroys the property value of neighborhoods. Together, it's just black-on-black crime. So, Romack used Afrofuturism to teach kids things like alien music. And they understood for the first time that by using your own imagination, you can create the world that you actually want to see. Wakanda forever. All right. Before I go through with my cryogenic body preservation, let's recap. Afrofuturism gives hope to the Black community and gives us strength during times of crisis. It may be science fiction, but it's also a future worth hoping for. All right. See you in 900 years. Wait, what do you mean the ice caps are melting and we'll all be dead by then? Ah, shit!
Another spectacular performance. We will now turn things over to A.J. York as they perform extemporaneous speaking.
It was in March of 2020 when COVID-19 was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization, making it almost 2 years of all of us living in the COVID-19 pandemic. Which brings us to the question, how will the world decide the COVID-19 pandemic is over? I believe that they will do this in 3 key ways. First and foremost, the mask mandate will be lifted. Secondly, vaccination rates will be significantly higher. And third and finally, infection rates will be lowered significantly. First and foremost, according to the NBC Chicago from November 28th, 2021, the mask mandate in Illinois is still in effect. This is because this state is considered high risk, as opposed to a state such as Hawaii, where the positivity rate is less than 3%. And according to the Chicago Tribune from November 2nd, 2021, COVID-19 cases aren't dropping in Illinois, leaving people uncertain of what the future holds. This tells us, being that masks are the poster child for COVID, the removal of them would clearly signify an end to the COVID-19 pandemic. Moving forward, vaccination rates will be significantly higher. According to Mayo Clinic, from December 12th, 2021, 61.2% of the United States population is vaccinated. And while that may be good, that still means that 38.8% isn't. That's a ton of people. And according to Our World in data from December 13th, 2021, 56.1% of the world's population has had at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccination. However, only 7.3% of low-income countries have had at least 1 dose. Vaccines have been our ticket to lower infection rates and lowering the death count. Without our poor being vaccinated, we will not get anywhere. Moving forward, infection rates will be lowered significantly. According to the New York Times from February 8th, 2022, currently the daily average for reported cases has reached 240,000 people. And according to Our World in data from February 6th, 2022, currently there are 98,897 COVID-19 patients in the ICU as we speak. When COVID ends, the numbers won't look nearly as high. With numbers like this, frankly, we cannot say that we are even close to the ending of this pandemic. Going back to the question, how will the world decide the COVID-19 pandemic is over? I still believe that they will do this in 3 key ways. The mask mandate will be lifted, vaccination rates will be significantly higher, and infection rates will be significantly lower. The lives and the world we remember is an achievable reality. It simply requires the work of one another.
That was absolutely amazing. We will now turn it back to Anaya Clemens as she performs poetry interpretation.
They call me the voodoo woman, and I know the reason why. They call me the voodoo woman, and I know the reason why. Lord, if I raise my hand, you know the sky begins to cry. I've got a rabbit foot in my pocket, a toad frog in my shoe, a crawfish on my shoulder looking dead at you. What can I do for you? I need your help. Do you see the skin that I'm in? Do you see the nation within? Do you see my people and me? My people are in pain. I'm in pain. A dark cloud over us releasing a racist rain. America's sin, American stain. 1619, over 400 years ago, my people came to America's door in chains. We have been beat and killed and beat and killed and beat. Struggle and struggle and struggle. Repeat. We are tired of the same results. We are tired of having to fight for our lives, and I am tired of watching my brothers and sisters die. Now I come to you for help today. Can you help me? What do you say? Freedom, justice, equality, revenge. What is it that you seek? For in this pouch is oh so unique. It is my doll. The doll is in a ball. Unwrap it. The doll is small. The doll ain't tall. The doll is small. She voodoos and hoodoos and spits typhoon. Is this a bane or a boon? And then comes the blue moon. They call me the voodoo woman, and I know the reason why. They call me the voodoo woman, and I know the reason why. Lord, if I use my dolls, I'll make them all die. African Americans have long suffered trauma through multiple facets. Each generation carries stories of racism that are held on to this day. Yet despite all the trauma, African Americans have not sought revenge on their oppressors. An article published by Psychology Today on September 27th of 2021 details that in order for one to seek revenge, they must first recall or relive their trauma to motivate said revenge. For African Americans, the recalling and reliving of trauma is a task too difficult to bear. But if African Americans were ready to seek revenge, it would carry the weight of over 400 years. No program, because y'all are lucky we aren't seeking revenge. My dear, what is it that you want? Freedom, justice, equality, revenge. What do you seek? Freedom, social and emotional freedom, legal freedom, economic freedom. We must never forget that economics was the reason that Black people were brought to this country. We were brought here to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Do you understand that that's what we came here to do? It's as if I decided that I want to play a game of Monopoly with you. And for 400 rounds of Monopoly, I don't allow you to have anything on the board or any cards. And then we play another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything you earned while you were playing Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa, and that was Rosewood. Those were places where we built Black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned land and we owned property, and they burned it to the ground. So for 400 years, not only do you not get to play, but you have to play on behalf of the people that are playing against you. You have to play and earn money and build wealth and turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you're finally allowed to play. But every time they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game, they burn your cards, and they burn your monopoly money. And then they say, okay, now you can actually play the game and catch up. But at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game, I want justice. Justice. I have a voodoo doll. She has seen horrible things. My accomplice in this revenge. How many obituaries ought to be written? This is not a toy. I could be a myth, or born by creation, or only a figment of your imagination. I don't speak with my mouth or see with my eyes, sure that I live, yet I'm not alive. Associate of hurt and ending so tragic, my name conjures images of pain and black magic. The chanting starts and I feel the heat. Magic flows, it spells to darkness we meet. I am pushed and pulled into a trance. The faster I move, the quicker I dance. My body was molded to seal their fate, sculpted by hands and sealed with hate. My dear, what is it that you want? Freedom, justice, equality. I have a voodoo doll. I have a voodoo doll that I can make do things. If I slice it with a razor, it will make your skin cut so deep. If I spin its head around, their necks will break. If I shake it rapidly, the ground on which they stand will quake. If I pull a finger on my doll, they will feel that same pain. If I pour water on my doll, they will drown in rain. If I don't want them to see, I will pluck out its button eyes. And if I want them to shut up, I will close its mouth. My doll will work on whoever I choose, a lawyer, a doctor, or a musician singing the blues. Equality. We want equality. We want our skin to not be a sin. My pigment makes a white woman clutch her purse when I go by. All I was trying to say was hi. She can turn my greeting into an allegation. And then come those boys in blue. The ones who refuse to live by the truth. There is a social contract that we all have, right? If you steal, or if I steal, then the person in the authority comes to fix the situation. But the person in the authority is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, then why should I give a fuck about burning your Hall of Fame or burning your target? My dear, what is it that you see? We are the target. You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets. You broke the contract 400 years ago. 400 years we played your game and we built your wealth and you broke the contract. Our skin will still be seen as threats. Their knees will still be on our necks. My people are tired and numb. Rioting won't help. You broke the contract. Looting won't bring them back. You broke the contract. They don't understand that our numbness has turned to rage, and our rage is our strength, and our rage keeps us going, and our rage will set a city on fire, and together we will all watch it burn. My dear, it seems so clear. You want to watch it burn. Fire, fire, burning bright. U.S. cities ablaze tonight. Racial riots born from strife, torment, and tragedy, taking another black life. Fire, fire, burning bright. This doll will do you just right. You're lucky. We're only seeking equality and not revenge.
Another stellar performance. We will now bring back Daryl Richmond as he performs dramatic interpretation.
Hey, Ben. It's Michael, here for my evening visit. Mom's down in the cafeteria. She'll be up in a while. I'd ask how you're doing, but I guess that would be kind of a stupid question. Looks like they've got you resting pretty well, though. I'm glad. You're miserable for them. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I can start over. It's a little weird. Hey, Ben. It's Michael, here for my evening visit. Mom's down in the cafeteria. She'll be back in a while. I'd ask how you're doing, but I guess that'd be kind of a stupid question. Looks like they got you resting pretty well, though. I'm glad. You were miserable there for a minute, so yay for that. Yay drugs! Hospice drugs, I mean. Bad drugs are, you know, bad. So I want you to know, I'm not going to talk about anything sad. Granted, I always try to be positive and upbeat when I visit, but from here on out, I'm making it a priority. So I've learned to focus really hard on things that I like and find little things to distract myself. Thank God for cat videos, you know? So I'm good. You don't have to worry about me getting all weepy. When a family member is diagnosed with a terminal illness, the Huffington Post of October 8, 2011 says those families experience a new grief, one that first unifies the family to rally around the individual, but ultimately promotes more stress due to the prolonging of the death process. Furthermore, a child watching a sibling go through treatment will experience this new grief differently than the parent. They might experience survivor's guilt and will not stabilize emotionally until they accept the upheaval of not only losing a family member, but a friend. Funerals are better with tater tots by Bradley Walton. You want to hear something ironic? I don't know what to say. Here I am in charge of a one-sided conversation and you're out cold and probably can't even hear me, so I could literally say anything. But I'm drawing a complete blank. No jokes, no funny stories. Nothing. But I can't not talk. I mean, when am I ever going to get a chance like this again? Shoot, sorry, that's not what I meant, so I was... Sorry. Just... Sorry. It's a shame life doesn't come with commercial breaks like they do on TV. So, you know, whenever things got really dramatic, you catch a little breather. Please don't break up with me, Connie. My life is meaningless without you. Come gorge your face down at Idaho Andy's Potato Chip Super Buffet. Hundreds of brands and flavors and millions of toppings. You go crazy for a tater tot dessert bar. Actually, it's not that bad. I mean, maybe not the dessert part, but a potato chip super buffet with tater tots. Who wouldn't love that? It kind of reminds me of Grandma's funeral. Sorry, I won't get depressing with this. I promise. I was 7 and you were 4. Remember what you said? Funerals are better with tater tots. And this wasn't even at the reception. This was during prayer at the graveside, and everybody started laughing. Even the people who were crying. Even the preacher. The thing is, you kind of had a point. Funerals would be so much better with tater tots. I mean, I've only been to 2 funerals, Grandma and Uncle Jeff's, and they were both years ago, but I remember there was tons of food after both. You know what else I remember about Uncle Jeff's funeral? Besides the food, of course. It had rained really hard that morning, and you slipped and fell around your butt, and you got mud all over your pants. I laughed so hard. But then I just felt bad for Mom, losing her brother and then having to deal with us. I don't know how she got through that. Sorry. Got somber again. So, what do you think of this room? It's nice, without actually being nice. It's kind of clean. It's so inoffensively benign. That's the first time I ever used the word benign, or I wasn't talking about, well, you know. Sorry. Why do I keep doing that? I said this would be a positive, upbeat visit because no matter how bad it's been for me, for everybody, it's been worse for you. You deserve a normal conversation, or as normal as a one-sided conversation can be, so I should be able to give you that before you know. Die. I'm sorry. I can't do this. I can't pretend that this isn't real. I'm going to need so much training after this. It's just, I've reached this point where I've realized that maintaining a consistently positive outlook isn't healthy all the time. I reached that part so long ago, and I have so much catching up to do. It's just, I have to talk to keep the pain, the emotional pain from being too much, because this is hard. This is so hard. Watching you just breathe. When I watch you breathe, it's like I can see the line between life and death. It's terrifying. I was so mad when Mom said they were stopping treatment. You were going into pediatric hospice care, and it seemed like just getting up and letting you just die. There's probably some things that I have to say, but I don't want to. Thank you for being my little brother. I know you didn't have a choice, but thank you anyway. I'm sorry when I wasn't a good sibling to you, except for the time where I put the earthworms in your socks because you got your payback when you covered my entire birthday cake with ground up broccoli. So fair is fair. Thank you for always loving me. And I know you did, because I always loved you, and I always will. So you go on, and I'll be here. I'll see you in a few decades, which in the age of the universe really isn't that long. I don't want to say goodbye, but I can. And I will when the time comes. No offense, but your funeral won't be better with tater tots.
That was brilliant. And last but not least, we will bring back A.J. York with informative speaking.
It was a hot summer's day in the Bronx, and a young woman was walking up 145th Street with a few of her girlfriends. She was wearing white hot pants, a chiffon blouse, and her hair was up high in a beautiful ponytail. Her father just so happened to be waiting for the red light in his car, and he saw her, and upon finally making it home to see her mother, he proceeded to tell her mother, "Your son is a woman." That quote, taken from the 1990 documentary Paris is Burning, comes from a woman known as Pepper LaBeija, daughter to the legendary house mother, Crystal LaBeija. This house mother and daughter duo, along with the rest of the members of the House of LaBeija, found themselves and their community in what we can call the ballroom scene. Originating as a civil rights era offshoot of drag, ball has a much deeper history than contemporary shows like Pose or Legendary. According to the South Seattle Emerald from June 20th, 2021, they stated that ballroom, both here and around the world, would not be what it is today if it weren't for Black and brown queer people. More specifically, Black trans women. However, due to increasing violence and discrimination against Black and brown queer people, ballroom and house culture has become more necessary today than ever. So today, let's look at exactly what ballroom culture is before divulging into applications and implications that will reveal a fabulous future. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a cool thing on TV. It is history and heritage for so many underrepresented people. After famously being snubbed at a competition and being convinced by Pepper, Crystal LaBeija would go on to promote her own ball, the birthplace of the House of LaBeija. This move showcases two major functions of the ballroom scene, the first of which is placing Black and brown queer folk in a positive light. Take, for example, the aforementioned South Seattle Emerald article, in which they discuss the Royal House of Noir. This house is a prime example of people who are fighting for the rights of their community, other Black and brown queer people, sex workers, and other underrepresented groups, much like the houses of yesteryear. And that's because the idea of a ballroom house isn't new. While ballroom has history dating all the way back to the 1920s, the Black and brown ballroom scene that we see today didn't exist until the mid-20th century due to racial exclusion. Many non-white competitors of the drag scene at the time felt that white competitors were favored and placed on a pedestal, leading women like Crystal to go on to promote their own spaces. The second critical function of the ballroom scene is the formation of houses. It wasn't uncommon for queer children to be kicked out of their homes due to their sexuality. And with nowhere to turn, ballroom houses were seen as a place of refuge. Architectural Review from March 16, 2021, states that ballroom houses were seen as a place of cultural acceptance, where one could receive the nurture that they didn't get in their familial homes. When it comes to the culture of Black and brown people, family is such an important thing, especially for a queer child who's struggling to come to terms with their own sexuality. Take, for example, a Vice article from April 17, 2017. Ballroom veteran Sidney Ballou states that he wouldn't be the man he is today if it wasn't for his house father, Kevin Omni. As a trans man, Sidney didn't grow up with that father-son relationship that many boys get, but his house father provided that necessary guidance that he needed. That is the magic of houses. They provide what the rest of society has deemed queer people are not deserving of: care, nurture, and most importantly, love. When we look at the modern day ballroom scene, it's not quite what our queer ancestors had in mind. For starters, a lot of people just see queer folk fighting for trophies. However, in Paris is Burning, the house mothers and fathers explain in depth that that is not the case. Every category walked and every ounce of makeup that they put on their faces is an expression to the cis, white, hetero majority that they can do everything you do. They just do it prettier, which is a beautiful thing. However, the modern day landscape can be much more frustrating. According to a Time magazine article from August 20th, 2020, Imara Jones, a Black trans businesswoman herself, stated that in movements where trans women are figureheads, not only are they put on the back burner, they're forgotten altogether, whether that be the gay rights movement or the movement for Black lives. People tend to forget about trans women. They have no problem profiting off of their efforts, though. The commodification of ballroom is everywhere. Ballroom has very easily seeped its way into popular culture, and while that can be a good thing, it oftentimes leads to a gross misunderstanding of the culture. Take, for example, a Vice article from September 14th, 2018. Several people who were on the docu-series My House were interviewed. My House is a series that follows the modern-day New York City ballroom scene. One of the interviewees stated that they enjoyed the voice ball and being in a house gave them. That is the essence of ball, and the part that so many people today are missing. And according to Shondaland, the company that makes like every good show anyways, they stated that when you're in a ballroom, you can be anything you want to be. You're telling the rest of the world that you could be an executive if you had the opportunity, because at least you know how to look like one. That is the magic of ball. You're finally afforded the opportunity to tell the rest of the world that you can achieve, despite the fact that they're all telling you the exact opposite. As we look forward to the future of ballroom, it is imperative that there's first a call back to what ballroom was originally about. Family, community, a voice, being a person of color, the works. According to the aforementioned Vice article, they stated that the ballroom scene is very for us, by us, if you catch my drift. And that's because the modern-day gay rights movement struggles to make connections with people of color. According to a Washington Post article from July 20th, 2021, they stated that it is imperative that there are spaces for queer people of color within queer spaces. With the ongoing pressures of racial unrest, it's important that there are spaces for queer people of color to call home. Second, as we remember the rich and fruitful history of ballroom, we must also remember it as a space that queer people of color are entitled to, that ties them back to the struggles of their queer ancestors. According to an article from the New York Times from February 21st, 2021, they stated that the ballroom scene was created specifically by non-white members of the queer community to escape discrimination that they oftentimes still found within the queer community. And going back to the aforementioned Time magazine article from August 2020, Imara Jones states that trans women, just through our existence, show the resilience and the power of change. It's unfair for white queer people to walk into the space of ballroom without a fully formed understanding of what it took for everyone with a bit more melanin to get there. What's important is white queer people understanding the space of ballroom for what it is, a space made for us, by us. After learning the rich and fruitful history of ballroom, one can only hope a certain level of respect has been gained for it. It's so much more beautiful and grand than what you see on TV. It is life, history, heritage, family, community, and so much more for so many people. And that is amazing. And as the late and great Crystal LaBeija once said, you deserve the best in life. Or, if you're feeling a bit more catty, one time she also said, Miss Thang, I don't say she not beautiful. She just wasn't looking beautiful tonight. She does not equal me. Whichever works better for you, I guess.
Wow, what an amazing way to end this showcase. We thank you for joining us on our first Black Book Anthology and hope to see you at future showcases. Once again, I'm Jerome Cano, extending a big thank you from the UIC Speech Team.